experienced St Helens are the Women's Super League champions. The most amazing day for the Leeds Rhinos. Warrington dominating. Great try for the Robins. Huddersfield Giants take the points home. It's Vincent! It's a poor lad. He's got sensational try. 3 in a row, the Saints. The three-peat is achieved. An 8th grand final win for the Red Bee.
Well, good evening to the last tackle here on the Sportsman, your one-stop shop for all of your rugby league news and talk. Delighted to be joined in the studio this week by one of our regular guests, Carl Amor, Warrington Wolves forward, of course, and we're in the presence of an England captain, because we're also joined by England wheelchair skipper Tom Halliwell. Gents, thanks for joining us. Tom, we're going to touch on the wheelchair stuff in depth shortly, but let's just quickly whiz through the results from the Betfred Super League this weekend. Wigan Warriors 60, Kyle, Hull FC 0.
Yeah.
That's a very good scoreline for Wigan, and a very concerning one if you're from the black and white side of Hull.
Yeah, particularly after the result in the derby up at Magic Weekend. Obviously, it was a very close game, wasn't it? And Hull managed to score 30 odd points in that game. So you thought there was perhaps a little, a bit of life again in this Huddersfield side. In the Hull side, given the results they'd had before Magic Weekend. But look, the way the Wigan Warriors are playing, I think them and St Helens now are clear favourites towards getting towards that grand final. Another solid display from Wigan, 60 points and Bevan French scoring 7 tries. You know, he was at the game, he came off about 55 minutes in, and the whole crowd sort of moaned almost as if they wanted him to go on and get Martin Afai's 10-try record.
Martin which was, moan, did he?
Well, I bet he didn't know. But Bevan French, 7 tries, wow,
yeah.
You know, brilliant.
You've both played in teams that live at the top of the table, but how much, Tom, will confidence be coming into this for Wigan? Because they just, bar the last-minute result against St Helens at Magic Weekend, they just seem to be trundling on, getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, I genuinely thought they were going to win at Magic Weekend against St Helens, to be honest, and they were so close, and they've always been such a good side, and they've always been so consistent, and it didn't shock me, the 60-0, to be honest. I mean, the Bevan French 7 tries shocked me, but I don't think that's ever been done before. But yeah, you just see Wigan going into the stride, and I think it's up between them and Huddersfield and Saints for the grand final.
Kyle, you're not in the Red V anymore, but I'm sure you're cheering them on. That performance against Huddersfield, considering the circumstances, the players they already had missing, and then being at 12 men for most of the game was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Incredible. You know, it's I think, you know, it's certainly the best win that obviously I've been at St Helens sort of 8.5 seasons, and I think if I was in that camp there, I would look at that as perhaps the best win involved in a Saints shirt. You know, it was that good. Huddersfield, you know, they've been flying, haven't they, Tom, this year for sure. They're sitting third in the competition. They come to St Helens after, you know, Ian Watson made a lot of comments during that week about how he wanted to become like St Helens and like Wigan, and he felt that Saints were there for the taking with the players they had out. They lost a man through Sione Matautia 20 minutes into the game, and what surprised me the most, and what I just sort of sat back and thought, what a great side this is. They went down to 11 through Morgan Knowles in the sin bin, and they managed to score, didn't they? Jack Welsby comes up with that break, and you know, to score against...
How good is Jack Welsby, sorry? Because you obviously have got first-hand experience of him very close up, and he looks like he could be one of the greats at such a young age.
He's brilliant, isn't he? You know, he just... When you watch him play, it all just looks effortless. You know, that try where he gets the ball outside of Toby King, and he seems to almost move away from the ball as it's in the air, knowing that Toby King's coming out the corner of his eye, and get round him with ease. Everything he does, he's just quality. I've run out of words for him. You know, every time you've asked me about him on here, I've always been wax lyrical about him, and he really is that good. And what, you know, how exciting it is to have someone in the competition of that ability is, you know, brilliant.
Your current club, Warrington, obviously went down to Castleford. You weren't involved with injury, Carl. It must be elements that they were pleased with the second half performance. Yeah,
for sure. But you know, it was all pretty much undone in that first 20 minutes, wasn't it? You know, you can't be away from home and set off like we did, and you know, it was disappointing for us for sure. But you credit Castleford. You know, they've had a terrific sort of last couple of weeks, haven't they? You know, they've been building and getting some good results in there as well along the way. But you know, obviously I know they lost at Magic Weekend, but for ourselves, look, we are that team at the minute. You know, it's yo-yos in terms of performances. One week we're getting a result, then we're down by a lot, and then, you know, it's very inconsistent. That's been the problem all year, hasn't it? So for us, we've just got to focus on week at a time now, because you know, there's still plenty of games left, and it's important for us that we pick up as many wins as possible in that time.
Toulouse 20, Leeds Rhinos 6, Tom. A concerning result for Leeds on paper, but actually, when you look at some of the young players that are involved, vital experience for them playing away, and it's easy to forget that they're still learning under Rowan Smith and what he wants. Yeah,
100%. I think under Rowan Smith, you've seen improvements in attack. I mean, from the start of the season, we just looked like we couldn't pass the ball around, to be honest. It was just, let's chuck it to a forward and let's see if a forward crashes over the ball, whereas under Rowan Smith now, we're looking more of a threat, and to have no halfbacks out there and to have our young kids throwing the ball around and having confidence, it leads for a bright future sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to what else Rowan Smith could do to this squad.
I think in that short space of time, he's given them belief, hasn't he? He's give this Leeds side whatever it is he's saying inside the circles at Kirksville training ground. He's given them some belief and some hope, you know, going forward, and just allowing them to express themselves. And sometimes as players, and particularly what the Rhinos have gone through, you know, that's worth its weight in gold. Just to have a coach that recognises where you are and just instills belief and confidence in you to just go and back your own ability and play. And I think, you know, they're the reasons why they've been attacking so well.
Yeah, we've said on this show from quite early on this season, Carl, that we weren't going to get the best to lose straight up, and that they would grow in, but also that going there in July in the heat would be a real challenge for some clubs. All of a sudden, in that relegation battle, they're in the box seat, aren't they?
Yeah, look, I'll put my hand up. I thought, you know, the first 5 rounds of the competition, I couldn't see Toulouse winning at all. You know, never mind what they've done, and you know, they picked up the first win of the season against us when I was at St Helens, and they give us a really, really tough game. Yes, we had a few missing, but they took it to us, and I think that win for them was the catalyst to think, you know, we've just beaten the best competition in our own backyard. You know, why not? Can we not go and get a few more? And you know, Sylvain Hules has mentioned this month, hasn't he? He's pinpointed this month as being a huge month for Toulouse, and so far they've gone after some games. They've got some big wins, and you know, that they can now look up as opposed to down.
And a result that really jumps out, Tom: Salford Red Devils 32, Catalans 6. Catalans have got some injury concerns, and Salford look like all of a sudden they're right in that playoff chat.
Yeah, Salford have been sort of hit and miss this season, to be honest. I like the sparring that they've got. I think Brodie Croft and Mark Sneed and Ryan Brierley at the back have been playing some decent rugby, to be honest, and I think they all bring out the best in each other. And obviously I've been a fan of the NRL and watching Brodie Croft over there. I felt like he was kind of a reserved halfback, one of those that just passes the ball and don't take the line on, whereas as soon as he's come to Salford, he started to playing with his eyes up and sort of just attacking the line and making himself a running threat first, and it's good to see. But obviously with Catalans, with the injuries, are they going to shy away from the top 6 in the playoffs? I'm not too sure.
And then rounding off, Carl, HKR 15, Wakefield Trinity. And Wakefield had a good crack in this game, they were in it, but you've got to be worried, haven't you, at the moment, if you're a Trinity fan?
Yeah, I think so. I think you know, you're looking at those two sides in Toulouse and Wakefield, and there's one camp I'd rather be in at the moment, and that's the French one. So, but look, you know, you can drag ourselves into that now. You know, we're only two wins away, and then you know, we can ourselves could be in there. Leeds a point above that. You know, so there's still plenty left to play for. So there's no way that Willie Poachin's thrown the towel in yet. And I don't believe the players will, but they do need to start picking up wins. That was a big game for them, that at Hull KR, and they fell just short. So time is running out for them. But again, there's a lot more twists and turns left over the next 9 rounds, that's for sure.
Yeah, a potentially significant weekend in the Men's Super League. If you were with us here on the Sportsman on Sunday, you would have heard Kyle's dulcet tones again as we brought you York City Knights against the Huddersfield Giants in the Women's Super League. York sitting top of the league, and they looked good value for it, didn't they, on Sunday. The second episode of our Women's Rugby League show is out now, available to stream on this channel, and we went down to the York City Knights to spend a little bit of time in their training camp.
So obviously from the turnaround from being second bottom before the pandemic to now, would you say the game plan that's also contributed to the massive turnaround in general?
Yeah, I think the ethos at York is just to get better, just better yourself, just be the best version of you, and we work on that a lot. We work on performance indicators, and we just try and build each person's goals, and then from that it seems to be ball rolling throughout the team, and thankfully we've it's showing.
Yeah, so do you work as well then alongside this?
Yes, I work in sales.
Right.
So I work for Yes Electrical. They're really helpful. They've sponsored me in the past.
Wow.
They give me all the time off. Everyone's really supportive. They have the TV up when I play any international games or any games on television. So yeah, it's great to have that. To have my job as involved as obviously I am, because on Mondays when I come in and they're like, did you win, did you lose, because we don't know what Tara we're going to get today. So it is really helpful.
Your Tara Jane standing there at the York City Knights, and Kyle, you picked up on it on commentary a couple of times at the weekend, and I entirely agree. She is up there with the best players in that competition at the moment.
Yeah, she sure is, Lewis. You know, she's operating at a different level compared to everybody else, I believe. You know, certainly in that York side and the other teams that I've got to watch her play against. You know, she's class. Everything she's doing is brilliant. You know, her kicking game off that left boot's being pinpoint on the money near enough every kick. Her ability to run, the footwork, you know, creating tries, scoring them. She really is all round class, and you know, she's certainly doing everything right for making sure that she's part of that World Cup starting 17 later in the year for sure.
Yeah, that's the Women's Rugby League show available on this YouTube channel right now. It's a York City Night special. Make sure you check it out. And we've got more live action on the way on the Sportsman Rugby League this weekend, and the start of our Betfred Wheelchair Super League coverage with Halifax Panthers against the London Roosters. You'll be joining myself and Kyle for that one. Tom, the Wheelchair Super League still relatively young as a competition, and we've got this phase 2 now of a top 4. This is a must-win game, isn't it, for both of those sides when you look where they're positioned 3rd and 4th in that group of 4?
To be fair, every time you play against good opposition, so say if we play Halifax or London or even Wigan, you want to win those games. Like you have to win those games, with it being so competitive, and a lot of England players representing in those sides. You are being watched every single time you're playing, so you need to win those games. You need to put good performances in if you want to be in that England squad at the end of the year. So I think both sides will be looking to win that and perform well.
London Roosters, a new name on the Rugby League map this year. They've come through from Medway Dragons and the Argonauts system as well to kind of form one club. What can we expect from them?
They like to throw the ball around. They like to play flamboyant and just play what they see. Sometimes that leads in mistakes, and sometimes it leads in absolute phenomenal tries, which you'll see on the highlight reel for forever. But they're not scared to throw the ball around, and they're not scared to throw their arm. They might be a bit disjointed and they might make a few mistakes, but believe it, they have got some world-class talent in there in Joe Coyd and Lewis King. And
Halifax as well, a few of your England teammates in that side. Can we expect them to be, at that level as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think they've probably got the form player in the competition in Rob Hawkins on that field. Some of his performances this year, I mean, even against us at Leeds last week, a few weeks ago, he were phenomenal. He was scoring tries left, right and centre and getting through gaps which I don't think anyone could have got through, and he still managed to get through them. But yeah, I think Fax might tip it, to be honest, just because of the fact of how good a form Rob's played and how influential Wayne Ballman is in that side.
Your Leeds side won the lot last season. You've defended the Challenge Cup this year. Is it getting harder though to kind of maintain at that level because of where the other teams are getting to?
Oh, 1000%. We were the underdogs going into the Challenge Cup final against Catalan Dragons, and we knew we had to put in our best performance of the year against them. And if we even get to the grand final this year, we'll have to put in an even better performance than that. The competition is rising and it's fierce, and it's just a phenomenal watch. So I'd tune in at the weekend.
Yeah, Kyle, you've done a few commentaries on Wheelchair Rugby League over the last few years, and it is one of the lesser seen parts of our sport, which we're definitely working to change, and it'll be great to have it on the Sportsman at the weekend. But there's no doubt the kind of elite level of sport that we're going to get, is there? Because this competition is superb every time we see it.
Yeah, it is, and what I love about it, it's obviously the key message around the wheelchair game is its inclusivity and diversity for everybody to be a part of such a great sport that is rugby league. But for Tom and his lads, the Leeds Rhinos, they are the benchmark. They are the equivalent to the St Helens of the men's game at the moment. Everybody chasing them, everybody wanting to knock them off the perch and take the trophies that they've claimed for so many years. But what we're going to get to see is Halifax and London, and I haven't seen too much of them. I've seen some of the key players players that Tom spoke about during the international scene and stuff. But we're going to get to see two different sides. But take nothing away from that. You know, this top four of the Betfred Wheelchair competition is going to be electric. You know, the game is end to end. It's so fast paced and so physical as well. And that's one of the main reasons why I love it. So to echo what you both said, make sure that you tune in on the Sportsman this weekend.
And all of this, of course, Tom, is leading into the World Cup. You thought you were going to get the chance to do it last year. We've had to wait a year. What's the excitement levels like amongst the squad and the players that are kind of involved in this?
It's just been bubbling up, to be honest. That extra year has just given us time to be more excited and more prepared for it. Obviously, last year we didn't have much time to train with each other through COVID, and we thought we were still going to be ready to perform in the World Cup and win the World Cup. But oh my gosh, how wrong was I and how wrong was we? We've had this year to train loads together. We've got a week camp coming up in August, and I'm really excited of what that camp's going to bring and what squad we're going to have, because it's probably the most skillful team I've ever been a part of. So I'm excited to see what we can do this World Cup.
I think one thing that's come off the back of the pandemic is that extra year, and there's no doubt that there's a lot of good work that's been done throughout the wheelchair, throughout the women's and throughout the men's to an extent. You know, it's given all that more exposure, more eyes on the game and more excitement around the game, hasn't it? So, you know, again, the pandemic was an unfortunate and horrific thing that went on, but one of the good things about it, particularly in our game of rugby league, that's come off the back of it is that more exposure, that more time, and getting more eyes on the game and getting more people excited for what's going to be a terrific World Cup.
And England-France is very quickly turning into one of the best rugby league rivalries of the world. Those games when you two sides play each other always seem to be spectacles.
It always is. There's always like a couple of points in it, or even if there's a blowout, there's like a flurry of tries in wheelchair. So even if you're 18 points up, if a team gets momentum, then they can chase that up and get those 18 points back on you. So it could end up as being a draw or a win for them. It's so end to end, and you never know who's really going to win. Even though the scoreboard's in one favour, it might tip in 5 minutes because of how easy it is to get to the other end of the field and score. So when you play against France, it's always those tight-knit games, and it's always an arm wrestle, and it's whoever controls the game, or whoever's got a better kicking game, or whoever's willing to put the body on the line to defend that set, that's the team that's going to win.
And there's rivalry in there, isn't there, as well? You know, so often when I've seen the England against France games, Nathan Collins is going after Jeremy Bosson, and Seb Bashar is going after everybody else, and you know that's what we want to see. That's what really excites fans. You know, two teams going at it, giving their all for one goal, and that's to win the game. And I think the England-France games, they've absolutely epitomised everything that's about that wheelchair international stuff.
Yeah, that's on the menu in the autumn. The Rugby League World Cup's going to be outstanding, isn't it? But this Sunday, make sure you hit that subscribe and that reminder button, because right here on the Sportsman Rugby League, 2 o'clock kickoff, we'll be bringing you Halifax Panthers against the London Roosters, right here on the Sportsman, your home of Rugby League Online.
Don't miss a thing from the new home of Rugby League Online.
Follow the Sportsman on social media
and follow their YouTube channel for exclusive content.
Yeah, we've loved bringing you as much live rugby league as we've been able to this season. It's been an absolutely superb year, plenty more to come. And let's turn our attention to the men's Betfred Super League this weekend, and the games we've got on the menu starts with what is historically, Kyle, a cracker. Leeds Rhinos against Wigan.
Yeah, it doesn't need selling, does it? You know, two sides. It doesn't matter where these sides are at in terms of form or on the table. You know, this fixture brings out the very, very best in both, doesn't it? You know, Wigan obviously go into this as favourites. You know, Leeds Rhinos back at home. You know, after some, take the Toulouse game out of it. They sent a young side over, etc. But they've been in some okay form, haven't they, over the last few weeks? And you know, they'll be fancying the chances as well. And don't forget the game before this. There's Leeds Rhinos women. I take on the Wigan Warriors women as well, and you know, the at the start of the month, the Wigan club got beat comprehensively by Leeds, so that they'll be looking to sort of fix that up as well. So it's a real bumper carnival atmosphere come Thursday.
And Wigan Wheelchair and Leeds Wheelchair coming up as well. Great opportunity for you guys to do a clean sweep against what is such a famous rival.
Yeah, there's always fireworks when you play against Wigan. It's always the team you look out to play for. There's always that bitter rivalry, even though we're mates on the field, or we're mates on the field and mates off the field. As soon as it's like 80 minutes, like you're just against each other, and it's a battle of the badges and it's a battle of the roses.
Warrington, Hull KR, Kyle. This is such a massive opportunity for both teams to pick up 2 points, but a real kind of confidence shock for both teams as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's look. It doesn't matter how this performance or result looks. Really, just as long as we can pick up the 2 points, that's our main goal. You know, if we can win the game 1-0, we'll happily do that. But hopefully, it isn't the case, and we get to put on some good stuff. We have been working hard. You know, all teams will tell you this, that we work hard throughout the week. But you know, we really have. And the club and the team, they don't want to be in the position that they're in at the moment. There's been an awful lot of activity happening around Warrington with players leaving through loan or through the time being decided enough was enough there. So, you know, hopefully it can get some sort of stability, some calmness in and around the place, and just some clear focus and clarity around how we want this next sort of 8 to 9 games to look.
It'd be a tough assignment.
100%. You know, Hull KR, they play a terrific brand of rugby, don't they, when they get it right. And, you know, the guys like Sean Kenny-Dowell, Ryan Hall, well, they've been in terrific form all season round, haven't they? And, you know, they've got some big forwards. Matt Parcell will jump off the back of that. Then you've got to deal with Jez Litton as well when he comes on. So, you know, it's going to be tough, but, you know, one that we're looking forward to.
And then the other side of Hull FC, another team in a bit of a strange situation at the moment, against the Castleford side, Tom, who were just going about their business quite nicely.
Castleford are coming into form really well, besides from the Magic Weekend where they probably missed the best player in Paul McShane, and you just saw how good he was against Warrington. He controlled the game from start to finish, and I think he's going to do the same thing. He's a terrific hooker, and he's wanting to be in that World Cup squad at the end of the year, so he's going to try and play his best in every single game. And yeah, I think Castle get the goods there.
Just on that though as well, Brett Hodgson's men, they have to have a reaction now. You know, I think, you know, they're in very much danger of free falling and finding themselves out of that playoff contention place, aren't they? So, you know, I think it's important that whatever it's needed to be done at that club is, you know, to focus on, you know, there's a few games left here, and if we really want to make a charge for this, don't forget Leeds Rhinos, they won the grand final on a number of occasions from 5th. So just because you're not playing your best rugby right now, it doesn't mean that you can't still lift that trophy come the end of the year. So, you know, but for Hull FC, they have to find some form, and they have to find it quickly, otherwise they will be falling out of that playoff place for sure.
Catalans Huddersfield, Carl, a massive game in the context of the top 4.
Yeah, sure. You know, Tom mentioned it there. Catalans have got some injuries, haven't they? And also lacking form as well in some key players. I don't think some of the key men have been perhaps playing how they were sort of 12 months ago at the beginning of the season. You know, Catalans set off like a house on fire, didn't they, at the beginning of the year? But Huddersfield as well. You know, I think they'll be stinging after that loss last week. I think that'll hurt the coach more than anybody at that club. You know, it's very difficult to go to St Helens and win any time, but even when you're down to 12 and then down to 11, and to be handed a big fat 0 on the end of your name, you know, a 25-0 win that Saints did to Huddersfield, that'll hurt. So I think that Huddersfield are going to go out there and they're going to have a real clear focus, and I think they're going to get the job done out there.
Tom, you mentioned the way that Salford Devils play in their spine and the way they attack. They come against a Toulouse side in Toulouse, who we know are the great entertainers, very off the cuff. That has the potential to, one, be very high scoring, but definitely be very entertaining.
I think it could probably be game of the weekend, to be honest. You've got Salford in good form and Toulouse on good form as well, especially in the backyard. They want to build fans about there. They want to build a good fan base, and what else can they do except from get 2 wins on the bounce there? So I think it's going to be probably game of the weekend, especially with how good a rugby both sides play.
And then Kyle, Wakefield desperate for a win, but they come up against the St Helens side, who, we've seen this before with Saints, they get the bit between the teeth and they don't really let go, do they?
No, they don't, no. But I think that, look, I think this St Helens League lead is wrapped up, isn't it? You know, they'd have to lose sort of 3 out of the last 8 games.
They do play Wigan again.
Yeah. All right, so they have to win 2 out of the last 7. Yeah. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think St Helens will go on and win. However, if there is an opportunity or a fixture where you can just take your eye off the ball, it might be this one, you know. So I'm going to go... Yeah, no, I'm going to stick with my head and think St Helens will win, but it wouldn't surprise me if Wakefield done something at that ground.
Yeah, a bit of an ambush job from Wakefield. That relegation battle is it's bubbling away so nicely, isn't it, Carl? I wouldn't want to be involved in it, but as a neutral, it is quite fun.
And that's what I mean. The opposite ends of the table, Wakefield now that they're in survival mode, and stranger things have happened. It's so difficult to go to Wakefield when they're not in that state of mind. You so much the Jekyll and Hyde performance that you get through Wakefield throughout all the season. To go to their place at home when they're in desperate mood, and Saints perhaps very, very comfortable, aren't they, at the minute? So I do think Saints will win, but I don't think it'll all be their way.
They've got nothing to lose of Wakefield, really, have they? They're at the bottom of the table, they're sitting bottom of the pile. They've just lost to Hull KR, and they can just throw the kitchen sink at it, really. They can just throw all the rugby all they want, they can throw the ball around and just try, and you never know, crazier things have happened. I'm sure Wigan and Saints have been to Wakefield before and picked up a loss in similar situations like this.
We can forget, was it last season or the season before, Wakefield put 60 on Wigan, do you remember?
Yeah.
So, it's yeah. Right
It's that time of the year, isn't it? Every result, every fixture looks like it's going to have some kind of significance somewhere in the table at the end of the year. It's a fascinating running. 6 more really interesting games this week. Let's just take a moment now to cast our minds back and have a look at the contenders for this week's Try of the Week.
Welcome to Try of the Week. I'm Ross Fiddies, and here are this week's contenders. Try number 1, Keighley Cougars at home against Cornwall. Scott Morrell with the ball, quick hands to Lewis Young and sweeping pass out to Mo Agoro on the wing. He's scoring tries for fun at the moment and he crashes over for his second of the day. Try number 2, and it's the Bradford Bulls at home to the London Broncos. The closing seconds of the match, and it's Paul Ulberg from the Broncos with the break through the line here. Ben Evans with an attempt around the legs, but Ulberg breaks free. He's got Morsa Durkee in support, and Morsa Durkee with the ball now to seal the win for the Broncos. McCartney's on the inside, but he doesn't need him. He fends off the defence, and he runs it in for the Londoners. To the Women's Super League for try number 3, York on the last tackle here. Peach looking for the offload, into the arms of Stanley. She's taking a backward step, but it's a good kick over to Renouf on the edge, who collects well and recovers well too. She stretches out and gets the ball over. Try number 4, and it's the NCL, West Hull on the attack against Tato Heath. There's a break here from the home side and a lovely bit of interplay with Tom Burke running onto the ball at speed. He's got the legs, he's got the space, and what a try from Burke. Try number 5, and to Wigan, where Bevan French dominates the scoreline. Liam Farrell to Pierce Paul looking for a gap. He's got French on the outside, who sidesteps back on the inside. It's lovely footwork from the winger, and he weaves through the defence to cross over, and it's his 5th of 7 tries of the game. And finally, try number 6, and it's to Sheffield for a familiar face on Try of the Week. Barrow on the back foot with 2 minutes left on the clock. Maludi looking to break free, but gets the offload to Ritson. T. Ritson with the ball, and we know how dangerous he can be. He spots a gap, spins off the Sheffield defence, and we've seen it time and time again. He's like a bat out of hell and crosses over for a sensational try to snatch the win for Barrow. 6 tries, but only 1 winner. Head to the R-League app now to vote for your favourite.
Yeah, it's some really good contenders in there, some really good contenders that didn't make the cut, which shows what a week it was. We're running out of time. There's one thing that I want to touch on just before we go that's split opinion a bit this week. I'll come to you first, Carl. Victor Radley has put himself forward to play for England. Australian born, obviously. Dad's from Sheffield. In terms of England's chances of winning the World Cup, it can only be a good thing.
For sure, yeah. I think when a player of Victor Radley's capabilities comes along and puts his hand up, I think he'd be very silly not to have a look at that. I think we have got our very own version of Victor Radley. Morgan Knowles, I think he's right up there, in terms of quality with Victor Radley. So it's an embarrassment of riches, isn't it, for Sean Wayne? Do you play both of them in the same side? I'm not, that's up to Sean to decide. But what you've got there is 2 very, very good players who both bring a defensive mindset. And when you're playing up against some of the best teams in the world in Australia and New Zealand, Samoa, Tonga, you're going to need people who are willing to tackle, and not only willing to tackle but willing to whack as well. And those 2 are right up there in terms of. For me, Morgan Knowles is the best player in the competition, and I don't just say that with my Cumbrian and St Helens hat on. I've loved everything the kid's been doing for years, and I think what he does and how he behaves and operates on and off the field, for me, he's all class. So again, it's brilliant to have both of them involved.
Tom, you're obviously an England captain and a proud England international. everyone will have their own opinion about Australian-born players putting on an England shirt, but the one thing that Sean Wayne has always said is that he will pick anyone who is committed to playing for England for the right reasons, and Victor Radley is giving up the opportunity to play for Australia and the opportunity to play State of Origin to play in this World Cup. That is someone who's committed to playing to England, isn't it?
If that doesn't show commitment, I think he's come out and said that Origin is his dream, and he's put that away just to play for England during this World Cup and represent his family and represent his dad. And like Kyle was saying there, to have Morgan Knowles and him in the same team, it's frightening. I think our pack is probably one of the best in the world, and to add Victor Radley to that, I think it's scary.
Right, gents, thank you for joining us. We've got through quite a bit in that show. It's been a good one. Carl, I'll see you at the weekend for our first Wheelchair Super League game here live on the Sportsman. Halifax Panthers against the London Roosters. 2 o'clock kickoff. Coverage will start at 1:45 to 2. And of course, we will see you next week with more from The Last Tackle.